I've made it to the 2024 National. It's still getting set up behind me, but right before the show starts here, I wanted to break down what the show is going to look like from the perspective of somebody who's coming to do some huge deals. Jason Koonce has been a dealer for decades. He's got a lot of experience. He's been at something like 30 different nationals. He always gets good deals, good finds, good pickups for his personal collection as well. We're going to talk to him about what his approach is at this year's National and what the market looks like overall. Jason, welcome back to the National. How many is this for you?
This is, I thought it was 30 in a row, but during COVID, unfortunately, we missed one. So actually so I got to come back next year to Chicago. Okay. So this is 29 in a row for me.
And you're not that old of a guy. So you started this, I assume when you were a teenager, that's when you hit your first Nationals?
Yeah, I think my first one was St. Louis 94. So right. Yeah, I was 12 years old.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And we've had you on the show before, and we've told the story about like in high school, how you were going out to Frank and Sons out in LA and doing card deals and everything like that. What has the National, like, kind of, where has that fit in with your strategies when it comes to making money with cards?
Well, obviously the National is a must every year. Yeah. But my priorities, I have kids now, so my priorities have changed. Before it was get into town Monday, leave the following Monday, and it's like you're prepping for months. Things for me have changed. I try to do more stuff at home now, but definitely like months out, we're looking forward to the National. Yeah. It's like such a fun time. And to watch it evolve over the years, I mean, the market hasn't always been what it is today. I mean, I think Chicago had 100 and some thousand people last year. We'll have a pretty good number this year, but I remember this show 10 years ago and the aisles were empty. Like it was, dealers were dumping stuff. So to see the market progress over like a 30-year span. Even in the 90s and early 2000s, it was so hot. The Sosa, McGuire era. And now, then it slowed and now it's obviously crazy again.
Do you think where it's at right now is sustainable?
I think we're in a really good spot. I think where we were 2 years ago, everyone kind of knew it was crazy, the COVID hype. But like where we're at right now, the market seems to be really strong. Stuff actually, for me, in like the last month and a half, seems to be up like 15 or 20%. Yeah. So it's really good. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, we're having trouble keeping inventory in stock at Cards HQ. I know you do a lot on Whatnot, and I join your live auctions all the time, OTIA consignments, and you just blow through stuff. Like you just move an incredible volume of stuff.
We can't keep stuff in stock either. It's crazy. I mean, we're out there trying to buy, the good old days of trying to buy stuff at 60 or 70%. You still get those deals in, but it's hard. I mean, it's. I think that kind of shows the strength in the market right now, that there's so many buyers. The floor is just set at like, it's 80%. Like if you can get stuff for 80%, which then now the buyers, the end user has to pay more which is now why we've seen an increase, in prices overall.
Right. I was talking to Brian Gray, who obviously has been to a ton of Nationals as well, former CEO of Leaf Trading Cards. He does some stuff on Whatnot and everything like you do now. He thinks that this event, the National, might start to change the tide of that a little bit, because he points out that like all of these smaller card shows, like the Dallas Card Show, which is a great card show, but nowhere near the scope of the National, that every one of these card shows now, you've got the companies showing up that are doing repacks and everything like that, and they're paying top dollar for cards and buying out dealer tables and everything like that. It's harder to do that at the National. Yeah. It's hard. The scope of the National is so big that even the hungriest of buyers can't make a dent in the overall scope of inventory, both amongst the dealers at the show as well as people walking in. Yeah. So he thinks that this may be the one show where buyers can buy at maybe more reasonable price points because there's so many people there, right?
I think in general it doesn't have to be the National, but shows in general, the people that are willing to be reasonable are going to do a ton of buying and selling in business, and the guys that are sitting there with the same inventory they've had for the last 10 years, marked at 150% of retail, it's going to sit there again like it always has. But you'll see the boost that you can generally tell the people that are reasonable because there's 25 people around their booth.
Yeah, for sure. And what do you think about, here at the National, you do have that phenomenon that you have a lot of older dealers. This is a system where, people who had dealer tables from 30 years ago get to keep those dealer tables throughout the years. They're, they kind of get grandfathered into getting tables the next year. I've heard more criticism recently of that. In fact, at this national, there's actually a group of ultra-modern dealers, some of the bigger dealers, that because they are locked out from the national, they can't get tables. They would love to get tables, but they can't because of the waiting list and everything like that. They've actually set up their own card show nearby the national in the evenings. That's going to take place right when the national closes because they couldn't get tables at the national. Do you think that the national needs to try to change things up to accommodate some of those newer dealers, or is this just the way that it is?
So you could go both ways, and you could sound like an asshole either way. Like these old guys have kind of earned their right to have that spot. On the flip side, a lot of those tables don't have a lot of traffic. Mm-hmm. So if you remove that situation and put someone in one of these new businesses or modern guys, there'd be way more action, just more involvement with the show. So I just finding venues that are maybe bigger. I mean, I think Cleveland is a lot smaller than Chicago was.
Yeah, it's a bit smaller.
Unfortunately, I'd like to see it in Chicago every year, or like Comic-Cons in San Diego every single year. Mm. I think we just make Chicago the place. Maybe go to Anaheim once in a while. Anaheim has a massive convention center. But to get back to your point, talking about the trade shows at night, I think those are really cool. Like when I was doing this 20 years ago, when we got out of the main show, especially on days that ended at like 5 or 6, when I was young, now I just go to bed because I'm exhausted. But when I was young, I would have loved that. Like I would go to dinner and I'd be like anxious. Like I wanted something to do. And we didn't have the trade shows or these shows that go to 1 or 2 in the morning. I mean, I would have been, wake up at 7 a.m., main show all day, grab something quick to eat, and then secondary show from 7 to 3 in the morning.
Yeah. The problem that I have now, Jason, is I brought my kids to this.
Yeah.
And they have that level of energy. Mm-hmm. They have the Jason Koonce high school age level of energy.
Long time ago.
So I get done with the show and I want to I'll make an appearance at the trade night and go to a little bit, but then come 10 o'clock, I'm like, all right, I got to get back to it. They want to keep raging. They're like, where's the next trade night? Where's the next trade night? One shuts down at midnight. Dad, are people going to be trading the hotels to 3 in the morning? I'm like, I can't handle that. It's crazy.
Yeah, I would have loved it, and now it just sounds exhausting. Yeah. And I got 4 kids. I got 2 boys that are really into it, and they've been begging me to come, so they may come in Friday, but they would just be, Dad, trade night, let's go. So
trade nights are the fun thing. I am happy that the National has at least now taken control of the trade nights. Yeah. And they're doing an official trade night. They're doing it 3 nights this year, which is cool. They're actually doing it right downstairs, right underneath the convention center. So
44,000 square feet or something
for a trade night.
Just shows where the market's at, man. That's crazy. I mean, that's the size of that might be nuts. One of the bigger shows across the country.
So talk about why you're here, right? You're some years you've set up as a dealer and you've sold stuff. This year you're not doing that, right? You're here to buy.
Yeah, I'm here to keep my streak going.
Okay. First of all, right?
Yeah, I have to keep my streak going of what I just realized, 29 in a row. So got to go now next year, make it 30. But yeah, honestly, to buy as much as we can. And in my younger days, I would set so many crazy goals and expectations, and I'd be planning it. Now, really, I just come over here. I'd love to buy some deals, but go to dinner with friends at night and see people that I maybe only get to see once a year. So everything's completely changed for me. I don't have that same. I love to buy deals. I'm definitely in the floor buying deals, but it's more of this relationships, seeing people that I see once, a couple times a year, and eating some good food and getting bigger.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you're buying these deals, are you looking for dealer tables?
Yeah.
You're trying to buy in bulk. You're not trying to do deals with individual collectors.
No, I mean, I PC stuff. So obviously, I'm always if something spots my eye, I'm grabbing it. It's just 90s basketballs inserts or, all the crap that I PC with me and my kids. But ultimately, the goal is just to buy out entire booths, right? And, try to, at that point, maybe you can get stuff for 60, 70 cents on the dollar. But I don't think in this market, there are going to be a whole lot of people that are willing to just, give up this early in the show. Years past. I mean, years past, we would buy out several booths early in the show. And then we buy out booths on Sunday as well when people were heading out, and we're in a different world now.
Yeah, it is a different world now. It's exciting. I mean, it's the liquidity that's there, the fervor for cards, and the amount of money coming in and out every day is exciting. But it does make it tougher as a dealer to get those really good deals. when you buy out the booths or the dealers or whatever you're going to end up doing here, are these all things you're bringing onto Whatnot for your Whatnot business, or how do you go about, turning those and making money?
Yeah, 90% of it. I mean, generally when I buy a collection, I'll go through it. I'll pull out stuff that I just want to, I kind of tuck away in two buckets. One, total personal collection, don't care about the value, whether it's $1 to the limit, and then investment bucket, whether it's like a rare Jordan or Kobe auto or some Jackie Robinson, like something that I just want to tuck away. And then everything else is kind of like turn and burn. Like, let's move it along, whether it's some of these hot rookies that, I don't really have an interest in gambling in some of these guys. But yeah, that's how I analyze a collection. It's go through it, tuck away some of the stuff that I want to hold for 20 years, and then, get rid of the rest of it and buy the next deal.
Right. And so the rest of it that you're selling,
yep.
I've been part of your auctions on Whatnot, yep. Very fast paced, lots of energy.
Yeah.
And oftentimes you're doing multiple cards a minute, like high rates of speed. Is that the main source for how you approach things?
Yeah, we go pretty crazy. It's hard to find good streamers. I think we have 18 streamers now, and we have them do these 2-3 hour where they have really high energy, and we do warehouse shows selling wax, and we'll sell 7,000 boxes of wax in a night. We'll do mystery pack shows. We'll do singles. We'll take cards that are worth several $100s and let them run 10-second sudden death and see what happens. And sometimes stuff goes for overcomps, some stuff goes for way under comps, and then at the end of the month you kind of hope it comes out in the positive. But you really do kind of have to look at it as almost like in a month, because there are days where you get crushed and there are days where you do really well. So it's fun to do it that way. I never visioned the market. I was actually going to invest in Whatnot at like early on, and I didn't see the concept. I was more like eBay, all this stuff, but it just seems like the world has turned into this, I want it now. And even eBay, like all the bidding happens in the last, hour anyways. And I never really, maybe it's just the old age in me, saw that this being as big as it was, but even all the platforms, just live streaming in general has become the thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big change. I mean, for someone who's been in this hobby for as long as you have, the live streaming era, the live selling era has really only been this last couple of years that started to gain popularity, but it seems like it's really gained immense popularity.
It's early still. I mean, a lot of people feel like they missed the boat, but it's still really early, and like the whole world's going to turn. I mean, to me, a couple of years ago, the thought of running a 10-second auction seemed ludicrous.
Right.
And now it's like the only thing we do.
Yeah, and some of the world has already turned. I mean, in some ways, we're playing catch up to countries like China and India, where live selling is a larger share of their, e-commerce sales than it is here in America. So the roadmap is there, looking at what's been successful in some of these other countries to see where this may progress in America over the next 5 to 10 years.
It's way more fun.
Yeah.
The instant gratification, like there's nothing worse than eBay where you see something you want and you got to wait a week.
Yeah.
Like, and it's definitely the instant, like, okay, let's go.
Yeah. So that's why, I know Fanatics and Topps are proponents of breaking. Yeah. And breaking is somewhat controversial. There's collectors who don't like breaking, don't like breakers, think it's bad for the hobby, thinks it drives prices up, all of that type of thing. But on the other hand, it is instant gratification. It's being able to rip a box from anytime, anywhere by watching someone do it for you virtually through your phone. It's on the go. I feel like it's modern. I feel like it's probably connecting with what the youth want from that perspective, right? And it kind of plays into that, that instant need for instant gratification, all that kind of stuff. Do you see much like live selling? Do you feel like breaking's just going to continue to grow on these platforms as well?
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, breaking it's like, even if you're probably not going to hit it big, like you still jump in and do it, because as long as you can control yourself and not be like, going to a casino being crazy. I do. I'll be in bed sometimes 2 a.m. I'm bored. I'm like, yeah, let me go on and see and I'll jump into some stuff just because I know I can do it right then and there. And I have a passion for, cards versus sitting there gambling on my phone doing something. But it's 100% here. It's going to keep getting bigger and bigger. And the convenience of it. I think when platforms start introducing like instant buybacks, that's going to be the next big level where you pull something and people are willing to offer 89, like instantly, like you can click a button and sell it and then have that money to buy more repacks or boxes or whatever. That's where we're going to be headed in the next couple of years.
Yeah, I think you'll start to see all those things happen for sure. So people who want to check out what you're doing, OTIA Consignments, is that right? On What Is that? That's your main. I know you got a couple of channels, but that's the one that
that's the big one right now. OTIA Consignments, OTIA Sports, OTIA Singles. But the main one right now that's running 24/7, probably live right now. OTIA Consignments, and it's we try to mix it up. We got tons of different, like I said, we have stuff. We do wax, we do mystery packs, we do singles, we do low end, we do high end. I mean, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, cool, awesome. Well, I promise you I would keep this interview short because I know you got to go do deals.
I want to go buy.
Give me a couple of things that if you see them on the show floor today, you would just have to scoop them up. What are those couple of things for you?
So for us, it's not really a secret, but Jordan is really popular, and Jordan does really well and whatnot. Kobe does really well. I mean, this isn't rocket science. It's pretty easy. And we're kind of past that point now where football's pretty hot. Like we bought a ton of football in March and April, and I don't want to own a lot of football in August because I want to sell it before the season starts. And that's,
if you look at the price charts every year, there's a distinct pattern that once the season kicks off, especially once you're about a week or two into the season, you start to see an immediate fall in prices.
Yeah. So right now we're really just focusing on the bread and butter, like GOAT type stuff.
Yeah.
Where it's, a couple months ago, we were just pounding football and stuff when it was at a dip, and it does it every single year. Like it's fairly easy to follow the trends. As soon as the Super Bowl's over, wait a couple of weeks and people are forgetting about football, and almost like clockwork, come July, the stuff's up 30%. And then when the season starts though, one card is going to moonshot and the other 9.
That's right.
Desmond Ritter.
Yeah. That one didn't work out so well.
Yeah. Are going to fall. Well. But it's the fun. It's why we do this, right?
Yeah.
Like if he had a great season, it's stuff like 10Xs and like you look like a hero.
I have my Desmond Ritter cards with me, by the way, if you would like to buy them off me.
I will.
I'd be happy to cut you a deal on those, Jason. I'll give them to you at a discount.
At a discount, a little less than what you paid?
Slightly less, like 5% off what I paid. I think that would be fair.
I'll give you do that. I'll give you a deal on my Matt Castle collection.
Okay, all right, that's fair. JJ, you're a big Michigan guy. Should I be running out and investing in JJ McCarthy here at this show?
Wow. I don't think so.
Okay.
And it pains me to say that. It pains me to say that, but I don't want to, I don't want to give advice with my heart.
Yep.
Being a Michigan fan. But I hope I'm wrong. I hope but he just has like a Kirk Cousins type vibe to me. Really good role player. I mean, I think obviously, the running quarterbacks, the risk for injury is obviously high, but like, to me, Anthony Richardson, as soon as he got hurt, I bought a ton of his stuff. I waited a month, wait for everybody to forget about him, and Richardson's be super hot. He's going to be a good fantasy quarterback, and I think that kind of parlays into investments for QBs. And
see, as a Florida guy, I'm not very high on Anthony Richardson because I watched him. His 2 years playing quarterback at Florida were two of the most painful years that I have ever watched in my life of Florida football. And he did some of the most spectacular things you've ever seen on a football field. And he also made some of the most awful plays that you've ever seen on a football field. You get some of both.
Well, and when I say Anthony Richardson, he's an example of somebody I bought months ago. And like going into the season, I don't really want to own him. I'll let somebody else take that risk to go from, here to here. But I don't want to I'll take my 30%, move along.
That's the smart way to do it.
Yeah.
And then you're not gambling on the performance. You're acting like a dealer. You're buying when there's opportunities, selling, but not risking based on player performance.
Well, and it also seems like right before the season starts, a lot of the upside's kind of already built. Like people have to really blow out expectations to get to make a good amount of money. Obviously, they go on like win the Super Bowl, you're gonna kill it. So,
but even last year, like Mahomes stuff didn't really go up that much.
The one that surprised me, and I thought he had an amazing season. He was fun to watch with Tyreek.
Mm-hmm.
Tua stuff almost seemed to like trend down, even though they were like winning games. So you just never know. I mean, obviously, a lot of things have to fall in place, and that's what makes it fun. But it's also watching the games on Sunday, whether you have like $100 invested in the guy or $1 million, you're glued to the TV, rooting for a good performance, and it just makes it 10 times better. When you're heavily invested in a player.
I watched every single Falcons game last season.
I bet.
Much to my dismay.
Yeah.
We started okay.
We
started okay. Didn't last very long.
Yeah.
Those were some sad Sundays. But I'm a Falcons fan in general. I'm from Atlanta. But I would not have been watching, Desmond Ritter's passes late in the fourth quarter in a 3-score game if it wasn't for the fact that I'm like, I need this guy to put some stats up. Like, let's see something from him. So I was glued because I had the cards and I 100%. Wanted him to do well.
And I think that is one of the awesome things about our hobby.
Yeah.
Is it it's like fantasy sports and buying cards. It's like brings you closer to the game.
Yeah.
So
100%. I love it. All right. I'm going to let you get back out of the show floor. I want you to get a couple deals done before you get going. But to everybody out there, make sure to check out OTIA Consignments on Whatnot. Jason's a great guy, great dealer, and he will have some fresh inventory, hopefully.
We'll have a lot of stuff. We're going to
starting next week.
Yeah, we'll have a lot of stuff.
Stuff you'll have picked up here from the National, so definitely check him out.
Absolutely.
And for everybody out there watching, just want to remind you, you can watch the full-length episodes of The Geoff Wilson Show on YouTube under The Geoff Wilson Show. And also, we have a podcast. We're on Spotify as well as Apple Podcasts. Make sure you subscribe everywhere, and we'll have some more great coverage from the National for you soon. Take care.